Hello, my name is Katie MacIntyre, and I'm your host for the podcast, The Loving Cup, Elevate Your Gratitude. So welcome. Today is Friday, March 6th, and we're live from the FingerLakes1.com studios in Seneca Falls, New York. So today is a great day to talk gratitude, and I'm really excited to introduce my guests today. So we have Theresa Mendez and Michael Richards from Aurora, New York. So welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's start off by having you introduce the other. So Michael, would you introduce us to Theresa?
This is Theresa Mendez, owner and head baker of Moonflower Macarons, and my lovely girlfriend of 6 years.
And this is Michael Richards, my partner in crime. Michael is the bartender at the Canopy by Hilton in Ithaca, in their newly built restaurant.
Wonderful. I haven't been there yet. I'll have to.
We'll welcome you with open arms.
Really nice.
Awesome. I'll have to hear more about that. So let's jump in and talk about gratitude in the past year. If either one of you can start, if you can share something with me that you're most grateful for from the past year.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll go first. I think that in the past year, I've really been able to see how far we've grown, Michael and I, as a couple, and also just in our community with our business and our children, and just in terms of relationships and all of those relationships. It's almost like we don't recognize each other over this past year, which is actually a really good thing. We've grown up a lot together over the last year, and our children are growing up together. They're both. We have a preteen and a teenager, and so it's great to sort of watch them grow up. See things through their eyes, which is a lot of fun. Yeah. And we've just we've really dug in to a lot of new exciting things over the past year, and we're finally starting to see the fruits of our labor. So I would have to say, just grateful for being in a position where we can see that growth is really exciting.
That's beautiful. Great. How about for you?
I'm going to go everything she just said, which coincides with me turning 40, which was, sort of a milestone thing. So that last year is where I feel like, okay, childhood's completely over. I'm a grown-up, but I still feel young enough to feel like a good grown-up, a little older and a little wiser. And I'm grateful for my health at this age, and that I still have opportunities in front of me, that I have a good family, that I have kids, that I have her in my corner, that I'm able to be in hers. So
awesome. Well, happy birthday.
Thank you very much. It was a good one.
40 is a great age.
It's the new 30, but smarter.
Let's hope so.
Yes. How about for your whole life? If you think about what you're most grateful for in your whole entire life.
I would say family. I mean, I'm sure that's a common. I
would hope that sometimes.
I hope that that's what a lot of people look back on and see as a benefit. Just our little nuclear family, which we sort of we get to call the shots and decide what that looks like. But also my extended family. I'll have a lot of my mom and sisters, nieces and nephews all live in the Auburn area. And they've been extraordinarily supportive of every new crazy idea that I have, every new pursuit, and even, extended family, are always sending well wishes and support. And so I don't, that's probably a whole life thing in the past, and then of course
great.
Into the future. Yeah.
All right. I feel like someday I might want to rewind the tape and look at where I'm at right now in life and freeze it. Because everybody gets a chance to be old and young at the same time. We're older and wiser adults, but we're still reasonably young and hip. And our kids, they're older and they're cool and they're independent. Not needy children, but they're still our kids. They're still kids. And, life is hard. We have to work hard for what we want. Everything is a risk. Everything is a struggle. And like everybody, we're maybe a few bad months away from serious trouble. But at the same time, from having a decent car and a loving home to the view of Cayuga Lake from our bedroom window, I mean, we're rich. And I'm really grateful for that. And nothing is permanent. This is all highly temporary. Life is over in a heartbeat. And this could be the happiest time of my entire life. And it might very well be because I've got it great. So.
It's beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah, love it. How about, before we jump into the next question, can you tell me how you met?
Yeah. I'll start. We actually met in our early 20s at a restaurant that used to be open in Skinny Atlas called Kabuki. It was a mostly sushi place. And we were completely not interested in one another. We were dating other people. He was dating the mother of his son, and I was dating the father of my daughter. So we were just on separate paths in the same place, friendly enough with each other, but not.
Yeah, we
interested.
got along, but we barely knew one another. We didn't hang out. That was just someone from work.
Yeah. And then you
would have to get along. Kabuki was a tiny place. Like, it's
not
a huge restaurant.
Tight quarters, space is premium, yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then it was, I don't know, we went separate ways and lived our lives. And 8 years later, I found out that he was in the Auburn area, and just looked him up on Facebook and asked if he wanted to meet up, and we did.
She asked me out. I remember getting the message, and I was like, that girl's flirting with me, and I felt like something big was about to happen. And then she shows up for our first date for coffee, and I think to myself, like, my wife just got here. My whole single life is over. Like, there's going to be a before and after moment, and that moment is her coming into my life. Mm-hmm. So that's, we met once, but we really met 8 years later as more complete adults, and then began our journey, as it were, together.
Awesome.
He's told that story a lot, and I really like hearing it every time.
It's a great story.
Are you flirting with me?
A little, maybe.
So it's a perfect segue into my next question, which is, can you share what you're most grateful for in the other?
Yes. Michael is a fighter. He has a real tenacious sort of spirit, and at times that's challenging because we're both very strong personalities, but once Michael sort of puts his mind to something, he figures it out and digs in and does his best at it. And that's something that I've learned from over the years, even when I don't want to learn from it because it conflicts with maybe something that I want. But
Guilty.
it's an admirable quality that I've learned from over the years and learned to appreciate.
That's good. How about for you?
Sometimes it seemed like a little too much. Her muchiness has been a lot much. But Theresa is all the things. She's sort of an uber genius or a polyglot. She's great at everything she does. She rises to the top. You can give her a new job anywhere doing anything, and she'll be a manager within a year. She's just like that. She does things the hard way when she could do them easier, but she does them because she wants the best result, because she's putting her stamp on her work. She tells the truth when it would be easier to maybe tell a white lie, right? She takes the long way when it'd be easier to take the short way. I noticed this in all walks of her life, from her parenting to her work in academia to her work starting her own company, is that she does a complete job and thinks things really through. She's highly intelligent, motivated, dedicated, and it sets her head and shoulders apart from most anyone else I've ever met.
You were supposed to pick one thing.
That is that one thing. That is that one thing. It's that.
You picked all the things.
It's you. It's you. All of you. That's beautiful. So let's talk a little bit about the company you're starting and the new hotel property that you're at, and if you can share what you're grateful for in your career, your work life, but also I want to know what's in that box.
Yes. I did bring some French macarons for you to sample. So I own Moonflower Macarons, which I started in 2018 out of my home kitchen. I was looking for a part-time job over the summer in between grad school semesters, and my daughter was old enough to be alone, but not old enough to stay home for, an entire work shift. So this seemed like a really great way to, set my own schedule and do something I really love, which was, really digging into the French macaron pastry. So I got a home processor exemption from the New York State Department of Ag and Markets, and I signed up for some local farmers markets and just went with it. And then after 2019, I finished my master's degree at SUNY Cortland and was offered a couple really nice PhD opportunities. And I thought, okay, I have to see if Moonflower is sustainable as a full-time business. So I deferred my my PhD opportunities for a year just to really get out into the community and make Moonflower my full-time job. And so now I'm here. I declined my PhD opportunities this January and decided to look into commercial space and really expand. So we found a property which will be at 10 Seminary Ave in Auburn, New York. And we are hopefully within the next couple of months going to be able to build the kitchen and start national shipping, which customers have been asking me for since I opened. Do you ship? Do you ship? Now I can say yes, hopefully in the next couple of months. So we're, redesigning the website and making it really customer friendly. We'll be testing to make sure everything goes well with shipping, and then there will be space also for a small pop-up retail space, just a grab-and-go space. And I'm not sure yet what hours of operation will be, but one of the reasons we decided to set up in Auburn was really because the community has been so supportive and excited, even on days where I'm really struggling, because I'm not wearing makeup and I'm in yoga pants and I'm in my my kitchen and I'm isolated and I'm just baking. I'm always reminded by people in Auburn that there is such excitement for the product and for the space to open. So that just seemed really great. Last summer was the first summer that the Equal Rights Heritage Center did their downtown Saturday market. So I participated there and it was just great. I met a lot of people. I tended to go into things thinking I'm here to work. I'm not here to make friends. And Michael and I both made, really great friends as well as business connections in Auburn. And that was it was really unexpected. And so we feel more at home in Auburn than we ever have before, I think.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we're excited about that.
We live really close, kind of behind Seward House in Auburn. So we visit, my kids ride their bikes to the market. We'd see Pete Kramer and Aaron Humphrey there a lot, but so we'll have to make sure we come by and see you guys
Aaron
too.
And I went to high school together, and she teaches my daughter. She does voice lessons in Auburn, so my daughter takes voice lessons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's all connected.
So, yeah, it is. It really is. And Michael has his own thing, but Michael's been there a lot with me last summer. He sets up the markets with me, or we'll set up at an alternate location so we can be in two places at once. And so he's very much a part of the day-to-day.
It's a family business, and I'm here to support her any way she needs, any way I can, all the time. I'm cautious never to try to take credit or call it ours. This is hers. This is her brainchild and the result of so much of her work. So I do anything to keep her, from being in need. But it is definitely hers. It's important to us to be successful, independent of one another, and then to meet in the middle as successful people, that have a lot to contribute to one another.
Absolutely.
So likewise, she's backed me up a lot in my work. So
before we jump to you, what was your PhD work in?
Oh, so I did a master's in English at SUNY Cortland, and the offer that I received was a fully funded position at University of Buffalo, which would also have been in English with a focus on speculative fiction, sci-fi, and biopolitics, issues of the body, and who has control over the body, and how that comes across in literature, and how to teach the sort of medical and scientific quandaries of the day through science fiction literature. That was really my thing. So
very interesting.
Yeah. So
cool.
now I
being
just
a polyglot.
Yeah. No, that's good. All right. So how about for you, Michael, with your career and where you've been over the last 40 years?
Over the last 40, no big deal. No big deal. So short version was that I was born and then I grew up. But along the way, I worked in food and beverage all of my entire life. I took a few years off when my son was at those formative years where nights and weekends and holidays were better spent with him and not spent in the service industry. Sorry for banging on the table. I apologize for the noise. But I've been generally a lifer in the restaurant business as a teenage dishwasher through many stages of cooking and working as a chef and a pastry chef and baker, transitioning into the front of house and hand selling bottles of wine, working in fine dining as a server, and then just gravitating to the bar as I saw it as the apex of service work, to be a bartender and to be a part of the coming wave of mixology, to treat a bar as a liquid kitchen, as it were, and to approach it with professionalism and artistry and flair. And so that's where I'm at, is what I do. I work in Ithaca because of the colleges and because of the number of people traveling through that town. It's a super progressive place, ultra chic, where I'm always challenged to do new things and to please new audiences from all walks of life. which is always great, keeps me right on my toes, and there's a lot of upward mobility where I'm at now, and I'm very proud to be there. So
that's great.
Yeah,
I think if anytime I go into a restaurant, if I can choose to, I will sit at the bar. It's where you get the best service. It's where you learn all the good things you need to know and good stories. So
little inside scoops, absolutely.
Yep. We do the same thing. It's cozy. There's something very cozy about it.
The old man from that movie Cocktail said that bartender is the aristocracy of the working class, and that's a line that stuck with me my entire life because it's ultimately very true. So,
yes. So what about if you think about something that you're grateful for now that at the time you were going through it, you were not grateful?
Oh, well, actually, when we were talking about, we chatted a bit about gratitude before coming on the podcast, and we had a moment last night actually where we just started laughing at all of the things that have happened in our relationship that we can't say, or struggles and things like this. And maybe it was a little bit of dark humor, some of the darker patches that we've been through, but I realized afterward that the fact that we can laugh about all of those things, we have this collection of mistakes and flaws and, adversity that we can now laugh at. I mean, a year or two ago, we never could have laughed.
Well, right. These 6 years were not all strawberry fields. It's a relationship that includes the dark times and the grit. Through it, she's been my truest and most loyal friend the whole time, which I was never not grateful for.
Yeah. So it's just...
No, that's
you go through that stuff and you think some days are like, how can we overcome what's in front of us? And then you get to a moment where you can actually look back and laugh, even if it's not completely funny. It's just, it was just a moment, that struck me actually today when we walked in, that we have that now.
It makes being in this moment even more amazing. Because you have that perspective, too.
It's one of those things about the hindsight of age is to be grateful for the nature of struggle itself, whereas maybe a younger person hates struggle because it's struggle, because it hurts. It puts you through drama. It makes you upset. It makes life more difficult to navigate what should be simple ups and downs. But then you get a little older, a little wiser. Maybe your pace slows down a little bit because you're a little older, a little wiser, and you think, okay, these things made me who I am. And like for... less generalization and more particular is me. I broke my back in a car accident when I was 19 years old. When I was 37 years old, I tore my shoulder off the bone in a terrible work accident and required a major surgery there. So I've been laid up and badly broken more than once and been able to put myself physically and then, mentally and spiritually back together after such a hard fall. And at the time, I certainly would have been grateful for this. Like, oh, I'm so glad that I'm hurt. But now I'm glad that I was. Because I learned that I could heal. And, as a 40-year-old guy, God knows what's coming at me next. But I know that, until my final day, I'll handle it. And when I can't handle it, it'll be my final day and it won't matter anyway. So.
That's great. Yeah, and you get to take all of that knowledge that you've developed over years and apply it to any future things that are coming your way.
With a touch of mindfulness, it makes those future things pretty easy.
Well, there's also, there's teaching opportunity and learning from other people's mistakes too. So if you bring people into your struggle a little bit, not dump it on them, but rely on people who want to be there for you. Sometimes you learn from somebody else's mistakes or upheaval, and so nobody wants to go through bad stuff, but there is a value in that, I think, that you might be able to share with others sometimes. So yeah. So
what about a fabulous memory of something you've done together that you want to talk about?
You get to go first.
We were hired by a mafia boss to knock over a casino. No, that didn't happen.
Nope.
Fabulous things. We've done a lot of fabulous things together. We've been working class in a gig economy, so we're not traveling the world. We're not missionaries. We're not seeing the beaches of Greece, but we have beautiful day-to-days. I could tell you about 10,000 coffee talks we've had that sometimes go on for 2 hours in the morning, and they've made me a better man through the years, and that's fantastic itself. But more to the point, how about right now? Like watching her build this business right now, while my career seems to grow wings in Ithaca, independent and because of and with one another all at the same time. And I think that's the most fantastic thing, is to be in this moment. Like I said earlier, it's all very temporary, and this is like some of the best years of our lives. So...
Beautiful.
I'm going to have to piggyback on what he said. It's really on the little things, a day trip here or there, or, just making the time day to day is very difficult. And we haven't reached that point where we're planning, really big things, but it's really just a matter of showing up day to day. And, we just carry little bits of positivity, I guess.
For bubbly and oysters is a big thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's really the little moments, or little moments where he's been thoughtful, or just taken something off my plate and not had to ask. Those are things that are there quite a lot, which is good. It's hard to pick one. So
that's good.
Yeah.
That's beautiful to hear. So, what about a gratitude practice? Is gratitude something that's part of your daily life, or something that you just thought about recently when we connected?
There's a little section in my my daily planner that has a little box for gratitude every day. And I don't always fill it in, but it's always in my face that there's probably something that I should be looking at or thinking about. And sometimes it is just as simple as all of the check marks next to my to-do list. And sometimes I do take the time to write something down about the day. And then there's a record of it so I can look back and see what I took the time to write down, on a day where maybe I just can't really come up with, it's just a particularly stressful day. So I guess that's probably the extent of it. It is always there's always a reminder in my face about, be grateful that you got as far as you did today. So.
How about you, Michael? Okay.
I have two. One is, like I said, I commute to work every day through wine country. So no matter what's going on in my life or in the news, or whether somebody said something on social media that makes me want to furiously type back and show them how smart I am, I just stop. Well, I don't stop. I keep driving, but I remind myself to look around at the rolling hills and the water and just the sheer beauty of all I'm surrounded by, all these pastoral farmlands and vineyards and breweries and distilleries I drive by on my way to this beautiful hotel I work in. And I'm like, all right, yep, that's here me today now. And it's inspiring of gratitude, versus driving into work and feeling tension of any kind, because you bring that right in the front door and it poisons everyone. Which brings me to the second part, on the job gratitude. I love what I do, but it's extraordinarily high impact. High volume, it's busy, it takes a lot of cooperation between a lot of people, and when things start to come apart, it takes a strong mind to keep it from going off the rails. And if you've worked in service, you've seen when people go off the rails, and you've seen when people are able to keep it together under seemingly impossible odds. And for me, it's to stop for a minute and take a few breaths, rather than react angrily or to shout or to suddenly just break down and let my shoulders fall and swear, like I might want to really do, is to stop and look around and, I take a few breaths and I think about 3 things I'm grateful for. And if I said this to my 25-year-old self, all right, I would laugh back at myself at how ridiculous it sounds, but my 40-year-old self, these things work. And they give me temperance in the moment on the job, and I'm cool again. I'm 40, I'm a leader, I'm not a hothead, I'm a lion. So, that's me.
I love it. So what about, can you talk with me about something you're doing with ingredients now, each of you, with whatever ingredients you're using to infuse into your cocktails or your hot flavors for this spring? I would love to hear about that.
Yeah, for sure. Over the summer, when I was doing markets, I would change up my flavors every week. And now that the market season's pretty quiet, I transitioned to just doing, just changing flavors once a month, which I think will serve me well once we open the shop, to have a monthly set, amount of flavors. There's always something new to work with. One of the things about a lot of the American companies that are making French macarons is there's a lot of playfulness. So I do, and a lot of other macaron bakers do this too. We incorporate things like Lucky Charms or Fruity Pebbles or a candy like Snickers or Milky Way right into the macaron, which is definitely not traditional, but it's fun, it's whimsical, and you can have a lot of fun with it. I like to play with a lot of different colors. So
yeah,
that's
your
always
colors
really
are beautiful.
Fun. Thank you. Yeah, well, it's because my kitchen is very dark, so when I start coloring things, I don't think they're bright enough, and then when I bring them out into the sunlight, I'm like, wow, maybe I overdid it a little. But yeah, I'm always I guess it's an ongoing process to think about what's seasonal, what are flavors that people are interested in, and I try to use. The primary ingredient in a French macaron is the almond flour, which is not a locally sourced item, but where I can, I will try to see what's local and seasonal, what people in the area are, have a taste for. Sure. So for example, we were talking about custom flavors for May. What would people want for May? So we were thinking, well, Mother's Day is in May, graduation celebration, so we'll probably do like a peach Bellini, a mimosa, or some kind of champagne, lots of lavender, rose, just, playing with those kinds of
Kir
flavors.
Royale.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just there's just something new to look forward to, every month. Sometimes there's just too many flavors to choose from most of the time.
Okay, that's a good problem. How about for you?
Well, I have a couple things that are proprietary, but generally it's more about ethos. I look at the bar, like I said earlier, like a liquid kitchen, because my true, 20-year background was not as a bartender, it was in culinary arts. So in transitioning to bar work, I said to myself, this is a kitchen, it's all liquid, 99.9% of it, besides the hot toddy, or an Irish coffee, is cold. All right, so in that regard, we're going to treat it like a kitchen. And what I believe in is farm to table. The greatness in historical, culinary arts, going right back to Escoffier himself, was taking what was in your backyard and making it sustainable and making it magical. And also in order to survive the winter. For example, look up the history of duck confit. You had to cure it and store it in its own fat or it would rot. If you didn't have that meat, you couldn't eat that meat and your family starved. But now duck confit is a sought-after French delicacy, right? Farm to table, sustainability. I'm less concerned with international and national sourced ingredients that make you look great on a Las Vegas bartender competition stage, and more concerned, with making those communications, like I said, in the wine country that's in my backyard.
Yeah.
There's great distillers, great vintners, there's great beer, there's great food, and putting it together in a way that is cheap and easy and efficient and helps everybody at the local level, to me, is the epitome of artistry. And
there's a lot to be done. A lot of our ingredients speak to one another. So he'll find a product, and I'll make a wine syrup out of a New York Riesling, a local Riesling, and add it to buttercream. So there's a lot of crossover. When he started making strawberry sous vide, I was like, ooh, I could use that too. So there's a lot of crossover in what we're able to do, which is fun.
And I say I'm less interested in international sourced ingredients. Doesn't mean I disregard them altogether. Mm-hmm. For example, when she wanted help creating a fennel tincture, I said, oh, no, say hello to absinthe. Mm-hmm. Right, direct from France, It's about knowing your product and knowing where it's meant to go, but with an eye on what's around you first and foremost.
So I would love to play Scrabble with you. I think you would be a fabulous challenge. You've got great words.
He's a wordsmith, for sure.
It's perfect. So before we wrap up, is there anything else that you would like to share or say before we close our podcast?
I would just say I do have, my website is up, moonflowermacarons.com. I'm updating with information about custom orders, events coming up, and we are going to redesign the website coming soon for national shipping. But I also post on social media and Facebook and Instagram with regular updates. So if anybody's interested, they can keep up with what's happening there.
Okay, so they should follow you on social media.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
For up-to-the-minute info.
And beautiful photos.
Yeah, we try, yeah.
And anything you'd like to add, Michael?
Will you marry me this year?
Well, we'll certainly try.
Let's get married.
We've been trying for 6 years, so maybe this is our year.
This is the one.
2020.
You're my best friend. That's what I want to add.
Well, that's a fabulous way to end.
Yes, we'll keep everyone posted.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. That does bring us to the end of our time today. Thank you for tuning in, and please have a grateful day. Share your gratitude with others, and we'll be back in 2 weeks with 2 more guests. Thank you.